Good morning, friends, and welcome to Tata Motors presents Trans India Real People, Real Emotions. Today's interaction is a very special one for many reasons, which you will understand as you get into the episode. The moment you enter this office, the location where we are shooting today's interaction, the first thing that strikes you is this really an office of a logistics company? It's grand, it's classy, it's sophisticated and strikingly neat. That also makes me wonder, why are people still hesitant to join the logistics industry? So here we are at the headquarters of Safexpress, perhaps India's largest family managed logistics company. Safexpress has grown by leaps and bounds and set an example for many others in the industry, setting benchmarks that inspires everyone. So while we are at the headquarters to interview Rubal Jain, we were in for a pleasant surprise to see Mr. Pawan Jain as well. Known for his humbleness and down-to-earth attitude, Pawanji stepped out of his meeting to spend some time with me. During our interaction, he was the one who shared the news with me that Safexpress's fleet had touched 10,000 vehicles, which is the largest in the country. He was naturally delighted that Rubal was doing a fantastic job and was largely instrumental in the growth of the company. So without any further delay, let's dive into our interaction with Rubal Jain and know more about his journey at Safexpress. But after this very short break, you are watching Tata Motors presents Trans India Real People, Real Emotions.
सर 8:30 को निकल गया ट्रक
का माइलेज, फ्यूल, ट्रिप
सबकी खबर मिलेगी सर। 75 किलोमीटर कवर हो गए सर। एवरेज स्पीड ठीक चल रही है, 6.5 का माइलेज मिल जाएगा। ट्रक ने बहुत तेजी से ब्रेक लगाया है। हाँ सर, ट्रक पार्किंग में है, सेफ है। सर इस ट्रिप में 15% प्रॉफिट पक्का।
18.75
हैं? कैसे?
ऐसे। आपके बिजनेस की तरक्की के लिए टाटा ट्रक्स लाए हैं फ्लीट एज ऐप। अब फ्यूल एफिशिएंसी, ट्रिप मैनेजमेंट, ट्रक की हेल्थ, सेफ पार्किंग जोन, रूट प्लानिंग और बहुत सारी फ्लीट मैनेजमेंट आपके हाथों में। अब बिजनेस बढ़ेगा तेजी से। टाटा ट्रक्स, देश के ट्रक्स।
Welcome back to Tata Motors presents Trans India Real People, Real Emotions. Well, Rubal, to start with, tell us a bit about yourself before joining Safexpress. What was your educational journey like?
So I went to school in Delhi, DPS RK did my schooling here, and then I went to the US for my engineering degree. I did industrial engineering from Columbia University, 4 years. There, then went to do my MBA at Stanford. Completed that 2006 and came back to India and to the company.
So Safexpress was a natural choice for you, being your family business.
There was no had to join. I think it had a lot to do. I mean, both my parents had been very clear about it. That you can only join when you're capable. You better study hard. And it's not just a free walk-in for you. But I also did have a choice to not join if I wasn't comfortable with the idea of Safexpress or with the idea of coming back. I mean, there was a chance I could have decided to not come back, right? And it was conscious between all of us, but I think it was fairly natural. It was clear it's a good base. I found my own attraction to the company to be there, and then it was just an exciting space to be in. And I was very clear, I think, very quickly that I will want to be in India. And अब India आ ही रहे हो, तो why not join into the business and look at building out that legacy if you can.
But Rubal, apart from Safexpress being your family business, a large one of course, what else attracted you to Safexpress and the logistics industry overall?
Yeah, so Safexpress itself, I think we started in '97, right around the time, or right after the time when the economy started to open up, and very quickly, with all the new brands coming in, with all the new excitement coming in into India, it became very clear that India will become a consumption economy, and more financial instruments started to roll in. People were buying things with a lot of ease, and so it was very clear that logistics is going to be the space to be in. I'm not a very big research minded guy as such कि कोई manufacturing कर रहे हैं उसमें research के through you're working on that front. So I'm not, that never attracted me. It was always going to be service industry for me, that's for sure. India was very clearly the place to be in. It's a complex world. I didn't understand the complexity, but I was comfortable with it. I wasn't finding the complexity to be like, what is going on? What kind of place are we living in? I think it was easier to navigate. So I think everywhere it was just positive signs at the end of the day. And by 2006, it also became very clear that the world started to talk about India. Tech was one piece, but it was more the software tech at that point, which was sort of seeing the boom. But everything else was starting to come in. Factories were being set up, real estate development had kicked off, brands had launched in India. Everybody was trying to be in India and have a presence felt. And this is also, I feel, an industry which is at this point probably not going to be obsolete for a while, unless you've got a Star Wars type technology, which is, you can beam a box from here to there. Chances are that the movement of goods will continue to be a very critical part of life for a few decades. And as long as you're part of that journey, then you're in a good space.
Rubal, initially when you joined Safexpress in 2006, the logistics industry was very unorganized. Nothing was falling in place. What were your initial thoughts then? I mean, did you think, am I at the right place? Do I have a scope to change things?
No, so when I came in, that was actually what got me excited. The industry is very unorganized, and typical industry, or typical actually businesses in India, not just logistics, have worked with the idea of जहाँ पे आप बैठे हो वहाँ काम होता है. And then you have a son, and then son sits in another shop, and then that second shop gets opened, and a brother sits in the third, and then that is how it works. Even the logistics industry typically was कि लुधियाना में father है, दिल्ली में branch तब खुली जब बेटा आ गया या दूसरा भाई था, and then that the willingness to control caused companies to not grow that fast. And I've always found this as a very interesting challenge that the world has figured out systems and processes to run branches that are not directly under your view. That requires a lot more strength, I would say, at the corporate office or the control here. But I mean, you've got banks running, you've got institutions running, you've got fast food, franchisees running. How are they running? वहाँ पे everyone doesn't have the owner sitting there or monitoring. So the systems processes need to be in place. And I really love working on that front. So I think when I came back, that was really a very easy one for me to pick. Not easy to accept by everyone, because the idea that if this person isn't there, how will things get managed? To transition to I'm going to make things get managed with or without you doesn't feel good to the people who were involved, right? But those who saw the vision actually started to get very excited by it. I knew very quickly that all of this is going to happen only through a major tech intervention. You need to use technology to be able to put in the controls, but also put in the process, right? At the end of the day, if I have to go from A to B to C to D, you build a technology that doesn't allow you to go from A to C. It takes you to B, then to C, then to D. Initially, now a lot of automation can also help you move that part quicker. But initially, I think the idea was that. So we built out our new tech platform, keeping this in mind, keeping in mind that the first step needs to be completed, second step to get done, which was what we were struggling with because a lot of it was manual or on paper, and you needed that to come in. So from very early on, one of my thoughts was, and I talk about it to the team all the time, is every single branch of Safexpress needs to look and feel and function the same. It can't be कि you're deploying a technology in the 10 big hubs, but बाकी जगह तो the cost is prohibitive. वहाँ पे क्यों लगाना है? वहाँ पे it's small. We are very clear that every branch has its potential. Every branch needs to be operated in a particular way. It needs to look and feel the same. It needs to act the same. You can't have an ICICI bank where computer नहीं है. कि जी यहाँ पे तो जी ये तो छोटी ब्रांच है ना, तो we can work on a pen and paper. No, the structure is the same. The process is the same. So it has to be exactly the same across the board. Only the scale may change. And that, again, obviously required a lot of investment and a lot of convincing internally also. For me also, कि यार, what are we really doing? But that really helped out because the structure then of the company became process managed rather than physically monitored and managed.
Rubal, with so much investment going in, do you think the returns are good incentive as there is so much competition around you?
Yeah, this is an industry where if you don't invest, you won't grow. This is very clear, right? You have to build capacity. It's very similar to any other service industry, I would say, where if you've got one center, you can only service a certain amount through that. Simple example could be, let's say, a hotel. If I have one hotel with 40 rooms, I can't serve a 41st guest. But for me to grow, I either have to add 40 rooms on top of this or build the second hotel or build the third hotel. The moment I start building third and fourth and fifth hotels, I need to build in the tech system to be able to build the sixth hotel, right? Or the financial systems or the HR systems. So, but for me to get the 200th client or the 2000th client, capacity is too critical. So this is all part of that play, that you have to keep investing to keep building capacity to keep growing across the board. Now, ROI is a very interesting term that you use, but you can't think of a lot of these things from an ROI perspective. If you believe truly in the growth story of India, if you truly believe in the growth story of logistics in itself, all of this will play out in the long run, right? It's like saying that, oh, I need to set up a power plant in India and ROI kya hai? Yeah, you set it up, it will get used because of the requirement in India. The government is building insane amount of highways across India of like very large scale. You look at an ROI, India is not going to grow, right? You'll go from 1 lane to 1.5 lane, ki bhaiya, this is how far we can go. But if you want to grow, you have to look at building those 8 lane, 10 lane highways, even parallel to another 6 lane highway that may exist, and that's happening, but that is what it is. So we do believe that the ROI is very long-term growth.
But are customers happy paying that extra bit for the good quality service? Do you see a shift in that?
We do, for sure. The difference is that when the customer looks at your service as a sales enabler, then they are happy to work very strongly with you. Because their savings are actually more, which is not on a cost line perspective, right? So a simple example is, if you manufacture shirts and you deliver to shops in the malls, a sales-oriented person wants that delivery to happen on Friday morning so that Saturday and Sunday things get sold. A cost-centered guy may say, let's reduce the cost. Oh, it got delivered on Monday. It got delivered on Monday. Okay, I didn't pay too much, but you've lost the weekend sale, right? And somebody like you and me, we go into the mall once in a while. We'll be like, I need a white shirt today. I didn't get on this brand, I'll buy this one and move on, and this guy has lost the sale. So the moment you start thinking about logistics as a very key sales enabling piece, your question of cost changes, your base of cost changes. You start looking at things very differently. Lost sale becomes a very big cost, and suddenly what you're paying to a higher quality or a faster service provider is far lower than what you were actually paying to the slower or the unorganized service provider. So that change has started to come for sure, for sure. Again, it happened company by company or industry by industry. But as I said, it depends on what's critical to the company.
Well, friends, the one big change that the country has seen is the changing infrastructure. We have new expressways, new highways, wider roads, better trucks, all of this which supports faster and efficient transportation. How has all this helped Safexpress? We'll know this and more on the other side of this very short break. You are watching Tata Motors presents Trans India, real people, real emotions.
पहले ही दिन आपके साथ जाने का परम सौभाग्य मिल गया। हमारे मन में एक विचार चल रहा था, आप एक ही पोजीशन में बैठे बैठे थक जाते होंगे ना जी। ड्राइवर साहब गर्मी और सर्दी में तो परेशान हो जाते होंगे, दिन भर हाथ तकलीफ होती होगी ना। हम कुछ ज्यादा विचार करते हैं क्या?
उठो, आगे चलना है।
अभी तो आए थे।
ट्रक चलेगा तभी तो बिजनेस चलेगा ना।
सर जी, अब दिन भर ट्रक चलाते हो फिर भी नहीं थकते हो, हम बैठे बैठे कैसे थक जाते हैं?
इस ट्रक की ना एक खासियत है, इसको चलाने वाला नहीं थकता है, बस पर बैठ कर जो मुंह चलाता है ना वो थक जाता है।
टाटा ट्रक्स लाए हैं कैबिन कंफर्ट फीचर्स। जब ड्राइवर को मिलेगा कंफर्ट तो ट्रक तो लंबा चलेगा ही। अब ड्राइवर प्रोडक्टिविटी होगी और भी ज्यादा। टाटा ट्रक्स, देश के ट्रक्स।
Welcome back to Tata Motors presents Trans India, real people, real emotions. We are in conversation with Rubal Jain, the next gen logistician at Safexpress, heading not just an organization but a legacy. So, Rubal, how much has infra development impacted Safexpress?
Of course, it's helped. Look, if it's helped India grow, we grow along with it, right? If our customers are growing, we grow along with it. So there is zero doubt about it that the infrastructure development is part of our growth story. But I don't think it's limited to Safexpress. I think it's limited to, or it's broad enough to cover all of India. We have been able to, I guess, attach ourselves with that a little bit stronger, I guess, and we've been able to make decisions that allow us to invest more. So buying that 10,000th truck or bringing that one into the fleet was a little easier mentally. You're struggling less with the decision of how are you going to manage such a network, and that infrastructure definitely helps.
So, Rubal, what are the major challenges that are hampering the growth of this segment currently? Going forward, what are the major hurdles you see?
So I feel that one very important thing is that this industry is still not viewed by new graduates as an exciting place to be in, right? Even though we strongly say this, that the world is going to run on our backs. Like, be here and you're part of every industry. You have the pulse of the economy way more than anyone else. But initially, I think the attraction of talent is harder in that sense. While I feel that our industry probably needs the most amount of talent, because you are trying to solve very complex problems. You're trying to deliver to the most complex areas. You need constant, optimization models coming in, etc. So we do work on it. We do build it out, but it's not the attraction that Big Four consulting or the banks or maybe some part of the tech sector has. It's missing, but it's slowly getting there. I think it's going to take a little bit more time for it to get there. The other place I would say where it is complex is that the infrastructure piece itself is it's still not very easy to turn around or build and quickly build it out. I think just like in early stages of real estate, you had folks building, say, malls or residential complexes that were maximizing revenue but not maximizing usage or optimizing usage. Initial burst of warehouse development that's happened over the last few years has seen that. So you're not getting the most optimal quality warehouses, you're not getting the best serviceable warehouses yet, but that's also now started to move. I think now people have realized that you can't just build a shed. You now need to build quality warehouses that actually operate at a very different level. So again, we're seeing changes, we're seeing improvement, but these do remain challenges, at least for the foreseeable future.
So, Rubal, in the long term, do you see these things phasing out?
We're hoping, right? And they should phase out. But abhi ke liye these, as you said, you asked what are the current challenges. I think these two do remain challenges. Not a very, it's not clearly solved for already.
Rubal, talking a bit about Safexpress, what are the verticals and operations that Safexpress is into?
So we are basically a B2B door-to-door package delivery company. To make it very simple, if you're a manufacturing unit and you sell your product across, let's say, 400 shops, or you sell parts that get consumed at 100 service centers across India, we are the company that will take it from your factory or your mother warehouse or any warehouse to every one of those points of sale. We don't do B2C, so we don't deliver to your house, but we will deliver it to the last point of sale.
And what about the service network?
So we cover all every square inch of India, and I think largely what we're offering to our customers is in the pre-GST era, most of the companies used to be able to sell across state lines required them to have authorized distributors or a presence in that state. And what ended up happening for a lot of the brands was that they were restricted to a few states, wherever they had this setup done, and they were working in that way. Post GST, actually the market has opened up for them. They can actually sell their product anywhere in the country. But a lot of them were still apprehensive that, oh, if I'm sitting in Delhi and I'm used to serving, let's say, Haryana, Rajasthan, UP, how do I go to Andhra? Or how do I go to Bengal? Now, with the advent of tech platforms as well, you've got a shopkeeper sitting in Calcutta saying, hey, I'm ready to buy these 20 pairs of shoes from you. I can pay you online. Safexpress can bring it to me. Right? So now customers have suddenly started seeing that, hey, my product can be sold across India. And I don't need to worry about it because if it's one box, Safexpress will take that one box. They will deliver it on time. My market is no longer the 3, 4, 5 states I used to work in. I can actually sell all India. And they've suddenly started seeing a boom in their own sales and their own market spread simply because they've got the online payment sorted and they've got a Safexpress to say, whatever you make, as long as it's within the boundaries of India, if it needs to go, we'll take it within a time definite environment as well.
And how many pin codes are there with you now?
We are delivering to about 31,235 pin codes, and that is basically all the pin codes of India. The story with pin codes is that there is still no one authority on pin codes. The Indian postal system has a set of pin codes. Guys like Map My India and Google Maps who are actually doing a lot of research on the Indian geography have a different set of pin codes. For us, this list has come about because we've been given packages to deliver to these pin codes. So they do exist. It's just that there is no one consolidated authority to tell us. So we've been to them, we deliver to them, our truck goes to them. So right now it is 31,235 pin codes away.
Rubal, warehousing is the new buzzword in the logistics segment. What is the kind of facility you have in warehousing in terms of size and geography, and what are the plans for the same?
So we have about 18 million square foot warehouse space across India, but these are all distribution centers. They aren't storage centers. They are meant as, let's say, the airport or the railway stations where you have packages coming in, getting sorted and moving out. What we need spaces for is because we've gone so deep and we've got now offices in over 810 cities that you need spots where materials can move in a mesh network and get distributed across the country very quickly. Warehousing infrastructure is a very important part of capacity creation for us. The more efficient the warehouse and the more sort of optimally located the warehouse, the better our network can be and the faster we can deliver across the country. And it's actually not just about also being faster, it is also about being consistently able to deliver within certain timelines or to be able to manage the complexities of India. You know, unfortunately, over the last week or so, a couple of northern states have seen a lot of flooding that's happened due to the rains. We've had unrest in a couple of states out in the east. We've had cases where, there are either political rallies that cause a breakdown in the daily activity. You've got religious holidays that happen across India, and you have to be able to cater to known disturbances in the system or unknown ones that could crop up. And as a result, you do need spaces in your warehouse to be able to manage that elasticity, right? Quarter end growths are very different. Festive time seasons are very different. If a customer of ours launches a big offer, suddenly sales spike in that sense. So you have to be able to build a warehouse that's not running at capacity. It needs to be running at a very low capacity on a normal day, because the number of abnormal days that could happen in a country like India, which is so vast and so complex, is actually huge. Construction happens, roads get shut down, convoys happen in certain areas as a result of these shutdowns, landslides, flooding. You've got, Durga Puja in Bengal means you can't access central Calcutta for weeks. And you have to know this. You have to be aware of it. You can't. You do live in India, so you have to work with it in many ways. And so you need capacity to be able to suddenly store 10 days of loads that are coming in from all India to be delivered to Calcutta, but Calcutta is shut on its own. And where do you store this, right? Customers, manufacturing aren't, you can always say, I won't book for Calcutta, which is fine, but then you're not supporting the customer, right? If the customers, you have worked hard with the customers to say, you guys should just manufacture. And why do you need to store? As soon as it's manufactured, we'll pick it up and deliver it. So now they've gotten rid of their warehousing spaces. You can't suddenly tell them today that I won't pick it up for Calcutta, so you hold it. So you still have to pick it up. You have to move it in the system. Yes, you can make them aware that, look, this won't get delivered for the next 15 days. And that's fine. They're okay with it because neither is their customer asking for the material because they're also closed. But your supply chain can't get choked. It can't be a point that, suddenly I have no space in my warehouse. I have trucks lined up. It's become a mess. And now that mess is going to take another 20 days to clear up. So you have to have capacity built across the country at all times.
Rubal, is there a benchmark when you say that I have this much percentage of an idle space or X amount of extra space? Or is it something that should be a random thing?
So there are, strategic transshipment locations where you've got, 200 trucks coming in and going out on a daily basis, which are catering to maybe 50 cities. They have a very different benchmark because For them, it is one of the 50 that will cause the issue, but the other 49 will still be stable. But if you are that one city only, and in that city, then you have to have a very different benchmark of, what happens if it gets, if services get disturbed there. The other side also is that what is the feeder hub into that? Now, if the feeder hub is large enough or has space, then even if this one city is impacted for a few days or weeks, can you hold loads at another point? So this is a very dynamic model that keeps being worked upon in our system. The other side to this is that as much as you may want to have benchmarks that are going to say that, oh, at 60%, I need to, say move to the next place or enhance capacity. And let's say you're trying to enhance capacity and you say Patna needs to be the place where I need to enhance capacity. You may not get a warehouse in Patna. So your capacity expansion may actually take place in a Muzaffarpur or a Bhagalpur, and then in that sense, then now you've completely changed the model, so that you're able to deal with this rather than deal with just what my model says. Model says यहाँ पे एक और बड़ा warehouse ले लिया, मिला ही नहीं, या easy नहीं था, या optimized warehouse नहीं मिला. So then how do you deal with it? We've got a big team that is identifying possible locations, that is working on how does this location itself treat the catchment area, and what gets impacted. Does my do I suddenly having this one large facility here ease down load on this one? Does this facility only cater to these 5 locations, or can it now be dynamically catering to maybe 20 locations? So these are decisions that are constantly happening in the company.
Rubal, any targets for the next couple of years in terms of, you want to set up this kind of an infrastructure or this kind of space that you should be having? Any targets?
Yeah, so I mean, we've got, I think about 2.5 million square foot under development right now. And we're constantly trying to do. So it takes, a good sized, very high quality transshipment center that can accommodate 250, 300 trucks flowing in and out. From identification of need, that we need a warehouse here, all the way to commissioning the warehouse and going live, can take up to 3 years, right? Because finding the right land, getting the right approvals, getting the right drawings done, constructing and launching, all of these are longer term periods. I mean, people have brought it down in quite a few places. The government is really helping with a lot of the compliances, but large part of it also just goes into finding the right piece of land at the right spot. So there is a time that goes into that. And basically what they're trying to do is trying to understand all the varied services and logistics that happen, whether it's from a warehouse, whether it's the train, whether it's the shipping, whether it's the air cargo, whether it's trucking, and how do they all sync up? The precursor to the national logistics policy was when the logistics secretary started under the Ministry of Commerce in this. We were having a chat and I said, sir, there is no warehousing zone. So for us, we don't know whether we belong in the commercial or the industrial if there is a warehouse. Ideally, it looks like it's a commercial thing. You load, you unload, you move on. Now, the moment I have to add a machine for repacking and restrapping, it becomes industrial. If I decide to go industrial, all the industrial laws come into play, which have no bearing on a real warehouse operation. You don't know what a warehousing zone is, right? And more importantly, for development of big cities, for development of commerce, you need warehousing zones within very dense areas, right? If till very recently, malls in India did not cater to trucks that are going to deliver packages. So the trucks had to be parked outside the mall. Ki nahi, you can't bring it in. This is for car parking only. There were no lifts which were dedicated to cargo movement. And a lot of these malls had very fancy lifts, so they won't let you take anything in those fancy lifts. How do you deliver goods? If there are no goods being delivered to the shop, what is going to get sold? You want footfalls, you want material there. You want material there, make it easy. So now, the new age malls have started to build in docks for unloading trucks. But if you look at how the Western world has evolved, trucks get right of access before cars do. In India, it's the other way around, So a busy commerce hub like Connaught Place in India has a 24-hour truck no entry. It also has the most number of shops. In the biggest high streets across Europe, cars aren't allowed because shoppers can walk their way there, but delivery trucks can go down those streets and park in front of any shop and be able to deliver. So if you want to grow commerce, you have to look at this. So national logistics policy is also trying to address a lot of this going forward, that how do you ensure that package movement happens properly? How do you ensure truck movement happens properly? There is a lot of negativity that comes along with trucks very quickly. Whether it is traffic jams, whether it is pollution. But if you've got a factory and you're trying to say that, an industrial area has 30 factories and you're employing 50,000 people who need to work out of there, how are things going to move from there if you don't let a truck come in? So I think a lot of these things are being addressed. You have shipping ports, but they're not linked to trucking terminals, or they're not linked to the rail terminals. Then a lot of this was done very ad hoc, not for anything else, but because there was no holistic vision out there and people were doing what they could do. And I think that has really started to now come under one umbrella. People are talking about it. A lot of the new infrastructure development, including airports, including railway stations, and including the highways, are actually being done based on material movement, not people movement. And when you start talking about it like that, see, as people will figure a way out, we'll reach the destination, but a package can't. And a package needs to be carried there. So, so I think the national logistics policy started to take this seriously, and that's a good sign.
Well, friends, he mentioned earlier that Safexpress was the first Indian company to have 10,000 vehicles of its own in its fleet. But how does the company manage this fleet, especially the drivers? We'll talk about this and the future plans of Rubal. But after this very short break, you are watching Tata Motors presents Trans India, Real People, Real Emotions.
ये सुना आपने? ये है एडवांस्ड इंजन टेक्नोलॉजी की नई आवाज। टाटा मोटर्स का नया 5 लीटर टर्बोट्रॉन 2.0 इंजन। इसके इंटेलिजेंट फीचर्स इसे बनाते हैं अपनी श्रेणी में सबसे ज्यादा माइलेज देने वाला इंजन, जैसे 200 बार तक की पीक फायरिंग प्रेशर, 2000 बार फ्यूल इंजेक्शन सिस्टम, साथ ही एक स्टेट ऑफ द आर्ट टर्बो चार्जर जिसमें है इंटरनल एरोडायनामिक ब्लेड डिजाइन और इलेक्ट्रिकल एक्चुएटर। इसकी कार्यक्षमता को बढ़ाते हैं इसके सेंट्रली लोकेटेड इंजेक्टर्स और 4 वाल्व्स प्रति सिलेंडर। इलेक्ट्रिकल ऑयल थर्मोस्टेट फीचर देता है ऑयल टेम्परेचर पर सटीक कंट्रोल और न्यूनतम फ्रिक्शन। इन सारी खूबियों से मिले बेहतर माइलेज और निचले गियर्स में ज्यादा टॉर्क, फिर चाहे लोड पूरा हो या आधा। 5 लीटर टर्बोट्रॉन 2.0 है एक हाईली रिलायबल इंजन। ये इंजन है और भी विश्वसनीय क्योंकि इसमें है फॉल्ट कोड मैनेजमेंट के लिए बेहतर डी-रेट और एक्यूरेट डायग्नोस्टिक स्ट्रेटजीज, बेहतर फ्यूल फिल्ट्रेशन, इनबिल्ट इलेक्ट्रिकल फीचर्स के साथ वाटर कूल टर्बो चार्जर, ईजीआर वाल्व और टॉप डाउन कूलिंग जैसे अनेक फीचर्स इस इंजन को बनाते हैं और भी विश्वसनीय। हमने इसे टेस्ट किया है 30 लाख किलोमीटर और 70,000 घंटों तक, और ये खरा उतरा है 10 से भी ज्यादा ड्यूटी साइकिल्स में। इसे परखा गया है धूल, मिट्टी, मैदान, रेगिस्तान, पहाड़, ऊबड़ खाबड़ सड़कों और ऐसी ही अनेक परिस्थितियों में, और हर बार टर्बोट्रॉन 2.0 साबित हुआ है बेजोड़। साथ ही ये है इंटरनेशनल एजेंसीज द्वारा परफॉर्मेंस के लिए सर्टिफाइड। भरोसे के साथ साथ ये देता है आपको ज्यादा माइलेज।
टाटा मोटर्स का नया 5 लीटर टर्बोट्रॉन 2.0 इंजन,
बचत भी, भरोसा भी।
Welcome back to Tata Motors presents Trans India. Real people, real emotions. We are in conversation with Rubal Jain, shouldering the responsibility at Safexpress, along with his visionary father, Mr. Pawan Jain. So, Rubal, 10,000 trucks means having an equal number of drivers and more. How do you manage this and how do you incentivize them to stay within the fold and perform with the Safexpress parameters?
Yeah, two, three things. Very simple. What does a truck driver in our industry really want? Right? We should really go a little deeper and understand that, because that largely makes all the difference in terms of whether they stick with you or not. The first thing that they want is consistency in what you're saying to them and what is actually happening. So for us in our setup, we've been very clear that this departure is going to take place at 4 a.m. They know it's going to happen at 4 a.m. If it's going to happen at 4 a.m. and it's going to take them 40 hours to reach a particular location, they know the route and they go on that route every day. There is no, oh, today you're going to Bangalore, acha, tomorrow we'll send you to Calcutta, acha, tomorrow you'll go to Jaipur, none of that. They work on one route. They go up and down that route. So now they know that route like the back of their hand. They know exactly which dhabas to stop at what places they can take a rest, at what spots are comfortable for them. Second, as soon as they arrive at the destination, they want the truck to get unloaded. It shouldn't be that, oh, you've arrived, now stand in line. There are 30 trucks before you, your number will come day after tomorrow. And this happens in the industry. And people have to wait a long time. The whole industry was developed like that. Okay, now you've come, now we're unloading. So for us, it's very important. We actually track how many trucks have arrived, and completion of unloading needs to happen within 2 hours of arrival. So not just arrived, but unloaded, documented, every package scanned, completed. Right? So this has to happen. This is a very large number. It can be optimized and brought down, but you're taking everything within the 2 hours, including a little bit of backlog at the hub or whatever it is. The third thing is, when they do arrive at our hubs, they get places to rest, relax, comfortable spots. So we've built out very nice rest areas for them to allow them to get their sleep, or catch up on stuff. They can take a shower there and kind of relax there. So we've kept it very simple for them, so that they don't feel that, apart from the stress of traversing India and the Indian roads, once you reach the destination, you're still under stress, Bauji paise de do. So all of that we've settled. So when we say within 2 hours, by the way, it includes payment. So we pay our entire fleet of trucks every day. So as of 12 o'clock today, we don't owe anybody anything for up to yesterday. Right? So it helps them stay on top of it. They know that if they have committed a payout to somebody, it's guaranteed, because Safexpress would have paid them. And simple things like this, you keep them comfortable, you address them with a little bit of politeness. Even if you're not addressing them at all, if you've completed your processes, which gives them that thought that, oh, I've arrived and the truck is unloaded and I'm okay, I get my rest time, I can go lie down there, they've got a bed for me, they've got a space for me, I can take a nice shower. All of that suddenly gives them comfort that let me be with these guys. And I have consistency. I know I will leave at 4 a.m., which means I know I will have breakfast at 9 a.m. at this dhaba, because it takes me that long to reach here. Otherwise, today at 4 a.m., tomorrow I'm leaving you at 8 a.m. Now he's like, oh, I have to find a new place, because even though I'm on the same route, I can't reach there at the same time, which means my entire body clock goes for a toss. So you have to build that consistency in. And I think that's a very large part of why we've been successfully able to get this far and have the fleet of 10,000 trucks with us and growing, because in our small part, I will not say that this is in any way us doing a lot for the drivers, but we've solved for their little problems. Which is important. which I feel, these little problems, I would nag them every day. So at least solve for them. We also, of course, do a lot of health camps for them across the country. So every few months, in a cycle of a truck driver, or at least once a year, in a cycle of a truck driver, a health camp gets done for them. So when they are in that journey, when they're back in their location, they'll end up getting a health camp, full body checkup done. So at least that also gives them some direction and comfort, and we're able to do certain things for them on that.
So, Rubal, is having an air-conditioned cabin a priority for the drivers, or there are other things that need to be looked at which are more relevant?
I think you need to talk to the truck drivers before you take this call. Yes, why not? The comfort should be there for them. But is this a comfort that they want? Is this a comfort? How many of them are actually going to switch on the AC versus keep the window rolled down? The significant impact on your diesel consumption is going to probably get a lot of them to be just not driving with the AC. There is a reason why AC cabins haven't come into play in India, and that has a lot to do with the cost. That has a lot to do with the mindset of the driver, right? They are. I wouldn't say they're happy with how they are, but it'll take a very big change for them to switch over. I don't know what the right answer here is, but I think this decision has not been taken into account, keeping into account the truck driver as much as what should be there. And yes, as I said, it's good. We're making sure that the drivers have the comfort. I'm just not sure if they are going to use it.
Rubal, recently Safexpress purchased a large number of EVs for last mile delivery, I believe. How has that been for you? How has that experience been?
It's still learning phase for us. We are in the short last mile, first mile segment. We're studying them. We actually didn't just buy them. We were in the manufacturers are using our network to also get insights for themselves. So it's been sort of a partnership kind of learning. We're still learning. We strongly believe that the direction of trucks is going to move away from ICE. Could be hydrogen, could be EV, could be something else. I have no idea where it's going to go. But we've actually set up a team now internally to focus on deploying some of these technology solutions of trucks that are coming in and testing them out and learning from them. I think this is a phase to learn right now. I wouldn't say it's completely changed based on where can you charge, how easy is the charge. You say that it can take certain load, a certain speed, what's actually happening. The thing is, the drivers aren't yet clear about it on how to maximize the usage or maximize life. They've learned it about the ICE trucks over many, many years, but they haven't really learned it yet. So it's still I would say, a learning phase. But we have to be ready because we're very convinced that the world is going to, or India will move away from ICE. And especially, I think India is going to move away from ICE in commercial traffic way before it'll happen on passenger. Because this is where the real bulk and the cost and the movement is. And it's happening, I think, with a lot of investment coming up in hydrogen, a lot of investment coming up in the battery technology. Big companies, every manufacturer has set themselves up for this happening, and we're just very excited about it. Good for the country.
Finally, Rubal, what are the future plans of Safexpress from here on?
There is a long way to go. There is a large growth India is going to witness, I think, over the coming decade. This is India's decade. I think our aim is largely to be able to grow with it by providing consistently high quality services. We don't want to grow just for the sake of growth. For us, it's very important that the brand name that's become synonymous with some level of quality and speed and consistency more than anything else continues to thrive and actually get better. India is a complex country. India will remain complex. There is certain things will make it easier, but then certain other things will make it more complex. So you have to keep adapting yourself to figuring it out as to how do I get your package to get delivered on time, every day of the year. And our focus is that we're not going out of India. We're not getting into B2C. We're not getting into any other kind of movement. We're focused solely on manufacturing to last point of sale. And within that, I mean, we are far below a percentage of India's market. Growth opportunity is huge. The only reason for growth not to happen will be if we can't manage the growth. So every ounce of my time, every moment of everyone's time is focusing on building out that quality and building out that capacity to be able to, grow with our customers and help them grow across the country.
Well, friends, that truly was an amazing journey, not just for Safexpress, but also for Rubal, stepping into a space that youngsters were running away from until a few years ago. Safexpress has been changing not just the face of the company, but also of the industry on the whole. We really hope that Rubal's journey and his achievements will inspire many other youngsters to jump right into their family business. We will be back again next week with another very interesting interaction, a company that is a support system for all OEMs in India. You are watching Tata Motors presents Trans India, real people, real emotions. Until next week, stay safe. Jai Hind.